Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the AJ Roberts Show. Today we have the lovely Gayle Fuller joining us from the west coast of the United States. Hello and welcome to the show, Gayle.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Guys, I've followed Gayle on social media for quite some time now because I've been really interested in her work. Like she's bit of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to all things healing and spirituality and galactic. And I wanted to invite her on the show today to talk about what she actually does and how this all connects to what's going on right now. She does fantastic videos on Instagram, like always giving people energy updates and stuff like that. So I wanted to bring her on to share with my audience and the wider world just the how prolific it is at what she does and just how big this is and where we're going. Um, I love your actual CV on Instagram. Ascension Guide, DNA Activator, and Galactic Ambassador. You spend a lot of time in Mount Shasta, and
Yes.
obviously one of the healing side of things is the spinal energetics, which I've always been very interested in, having had previous spinal surgery myself. So, um,
hmm
is it all right? Obviously, I've explained your CV a little bit, but like it's just to give the viewers, your version of events and what you actually do on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, absolutely. Like you mentioned, Mount Shasta, that aspect is I do Mount Shasta healing retreats. That's our website. My partner Tani and myself. And it's pretty life changing, the experience that we've had in Mount Shasta. We fall in love. It's the root chakra of the planet. And that is where I made contact for the first time with, galactic starships. And it just opened up my perception that there's so much more. And so now we've developed a method that we have had success with when we go out in the field and make contact. And we also do a lot of our healing modalities, healing work at our retreats. And that place is just so magical. There's a city underneath the mountain called Telos. And I've had experiences and encounters myself in the physical in this place because the veils are so thin. So I like to bring people there and show them. And it's a pretty mind-opening experience when the veils are thin and you're in a place that's a vortex and you're with a group of people that's very intentional and guides that know these sacred spaces. So we guide people around there. And in the energy work that I do with spinal energetics, and it's developed in Australia, it's really working with the energy of the spine, which is where the central column is, where our chakras are aligned. And so we're working with the physical spine as well as the energetic spines, which I didn't even know we had energetic spines. We call them the minor spines. Along our neck, along our lumbar. And we work with the energy blockages that might develop in those energetic spines, which correlate to the physical spine. So we can get blockages energetically, but also these start to cause physical blockages, physical things that create blockages in your spine. And if you have an injury, you try to get tension. And so we unwind the tension, we unwind the fixations that are developed in the physical body as well as the energetic body. And it actually creates an Kundalini awakening sometimes, but it's not one of the main goals. There are, modalities that create a Kundalini awakening and they are very esoteric. This is more about the physical body. This is more about integration. Kundalini can rise up the spine in the energy work, but it's not one of the goals of the energy work. So it's really about, for me, my work is all about integrating into the human experience. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, it was more cosmic. It was more, let's open the third eye, let's raise our Kundalini. But like, we're already so there. A lot of people that I work with, we're already very awake, very buzzing in our upper chakras. I think the work now that I do is helping integrate into the lower chakras, helping us become an ascended master. And it's, one of the Mary Magdalene teachings that I really bring into my work is bringing the good or the God into the heart and really integrating into being human. So it's a beautiful way to integrate that work. And I started off being a Reiki master teacher. I do train other Reiki masters, but this really elevated the energy work that I was doing, and it can be done virtually from anywhere in the world as well. So it's been very, very powerful with the energy work, and it's been very activating for the DNA, and it just lightens up your energy field. It activates the chakras, and you would be surprised about the correlating chakras in the area that you might have a spinal injury or a spinal blockage in your energy centers. Because let's say the heart was really blocked because there was an injury in the back of the heart. It's all very, very correlated. It's been very powerful work to see what it can do physically too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been seeing a friend of mine, who's a chiropractor by trade, but he specializes in network spinal analysis, which is
Okay, yeah.
there's a few people that do that around the UK. And I was recommending to him like probably about a year and a half ago now, and I probably owe a lot of my well, what I do to seeing him on a weekly basis. And
Hmm.
you know, my posture is completely different. And as I mentioned in the intro, I had quite a bad spinal surgery in 2006. So I had like 3 slip discs, loads of nerve damage, had to have a lot of work. It took me a long time to recover, and it was just the usual constant physio and pills and stuff like that in the military.
Hmm.
And just didn't really, it's more masking it, you know. There was no like genuine raw rehab and stuff like that. And that's why I find all this so fascinating, having experienced that NSA myself. And I was watching
Hmm.
him yesterday work on somebody, like bringing his energy field in to connect to a connecting point on the neck, and you can see his neck start moving as he was coming in. And it's
Hmm.
stuff that I'm starting to kind of integrate with these Orinoco like healing pillars that I have in the house, which are fantastic.
Yeah.
With so people have been coming around, and you know, just watching your videos on it, it's fascinating how you know how you literally use the energy in people's fields correlating to the actual areas of the spine, and you just see bodies moving up and down, and it's absolutely fascinating to see. But like
Yeah.
from your perspective, like from your like training and experience and going back, like when did you realize that like you know you were very much on a spiritual path, and then got very interested in the galactic side of stuff, and then subsequently branched out to you know doing all the spinal energetics and that.
Yeah, it's interesting you ask that because it's all very correlated.
Mm,
And the way that I do my energy work, and every time I've had a contact experience or connected with galactic beings and the knowledge that they're bringing us and the wisdom that we're here to activate within us, my energy work just kept changing. So I had an awakening in 2017 where it was a spontaneous awakening. I was meditating a little bit every day, and it got longer and longer sessions of meditation. I just wanted to drop in. I was in the fitness industry. I owned a cycling studio, and I had been in the fitness industry for 12 years. I built up a following and everything. And just things kind of fell out of alignment in that. And I started becoming very spiritual, and I would talk about it and everyone would be like, "You're crazy." Like, "What are you
mm,
talking about?" And I'm like, "Okay, this is obviously no longer in alignment. I don't know who I am anymore." So I went into that deep, depressive, dark night of the soul where I was like, "I don't know if I'm supposed to be here anymore. Maybe it'd be better off if I wasn't here." We go into that state of like, what are we doing? Like, who are we? You know, some of us really have that dark night of the soul period of our awakening. And I went into that deep. And then I started unraveling parts of myself, and my hands would tingle when I would meditate, and they would feel like pins and needles in my palms. And then someone said, "You need to open up your chakras. You're a healer." And I was like, "Okay." So I went to a friend of mine who was a Reiki master. She attuned me to Reiki level 1, and then it opened up the healing centers in my hands, and I could feel the energy flowing through my hands. I became really connected with the life force energy moving through me. And then as I developed, I went up to Reiki level 2 and 3, became a master, and those are more focused on spiritual abilities and your third eye activations. And so I had all these different things activating my clairaudience, clairsentience, all these things started to activating all the clairs. I would become a channel. I was channeling, things that I was hearing during the sessions. And then I had a contact experience where I'm a really big fan of Dr. Greer's work. And I watched Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind and became
mm,
really inspired to find out more about what he's doing. And then I worked with somebody who actually, I really wanted to make contact. And I worked with somebody who actually helped me understand that we are not separate, because I couldn't wrap my head around, like, they're not higher than us. They're not better than us. They're not, they are us. And
mm.
so once I got myself to this understanding, I had a contact experience. I have the picture. There's like ships behind me coming into my video where I'm doing Tai Chi work at that moment. And ever since then, I got these downloads. My DNA has activated in a way that's brought me online even more with my gifts and my abilities. And then I was noticing and experiencing these blue light beings in my sessions, and different beings coming in and working with me. And people were becoming very activated. It was no longer Reiki. It was another technology that was moving through me and working with me. And it was DNA activation. I
Mm.
was activating people's DNA, and I didn't even understand what I was doing. So I went to ask a friend of mine, Eagle Woman, who's a very, very ancient, knowledgeable shaman. And she pulled up my soul grid, and she let me know that I have this past life in Jerusalem. My name was Miriam, and I'm back for unfinished work here on the planet. And it's part of it is DNA activation. I'm activating people's DNA and bringing them more into balance of
Mm.
union within and integrating them into the human experience.
Yeah.
So it's just all, and then I started going into Mount Shasta, and in Mount Shasta, you can see the ships. It's like a regular thing to just see starships all over the place. And then when
Mm.
you're really intentionally connecting with them, you're going to have experiences. And when you connect with a ship, you'll receive downloads, you'll get activated, and you'll get memories activated. And it's very intentional to connect with beings of light that are benevolent beings. So when you're connecting with these angelic beings, you're going to have a beautiful experience. And this was just a constant thing for me, going out there and doing contact and really having these. I even had an encounter with Saint Germain on the mountain in physical when I
Wow.
was with my retreat group. So I was leading them through a sound bath at the top of the mountain, and we were making contact, and Saint Germain appeared in physical form out of nowhere on a rock next to us and was moving energy. And then he came up to me and spoke with me, and like, we have this on video. Like,
Wow.
these things have happened in my life where, there's moments where you become very awakened and you're like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
Is this all of this? You have those moments where you're like, this is so overwhelming. Like, am I really crazy? Is this spiritual psychosis? Like other people want to say, and then I've had these experiences in the physical where I have been confirmed and confirmed again that this is absolutely very, very much a reality that is very much happening, and everything else is the dream. So it's been really expansive for me.
Yeah, and I'm really glad I've got somebody like yourself to come on the show to share that journey, because
Mhm.
there's so many people having these, not the same journey, but like the journeys of their own at the minute, and obviously me included.
Yeah.
It's been a wild year, like in terms of like contact and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like my good friend Matt, who's pretty much been like a mentor to me in terms of like metaphysics and stuff like that since we met. And actually, when we first met, it was at a protest in my local town, and he said, "Oh yeah, I run a local stand in the park group where people meet on a Sunday." And I said, "Oh right, okay. So what do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm a psychic and a time traveler." And I was like, "What?"
You're like
But I
that?
didn't dismiss. But I didn't dismiss it, so, and I've never really done that. Like I've always been curious all the time, so
Mhm.
I didn't dismiss it. And then I messaged him 2 weeks later. I said, "Let's have a coffee." And then it just
Mhm.
connected. And then I mean, one day I spent about 3 hours sat in a field with my notebook and pen, just like drawing stuff and physics and this, that, and the other, because I've always been
That's
big on
awesome.
myself. But obviously, as Diana Cooper explained about uh, me and where I'm from, multiple places, which, by the way, I thought was amazing, because I think she proved in the most galactic form you could possible that a male can be in more places than once and can do more things than once. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, cheers. But so to come into the knowledge of all that was like great. But it all started where because I'm very much like yourself. I connect with craft all the time. Like I live near Stonehenge, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've been
Mhm.
teaching people to do the same for quite some time on my courses and that as well. And it's like I had literally it must have been only been about 1,000 foot, just came in like real slow. It was almost like on its own rail tracks from like my 12
Wow.
o'clock position, and I was like, what? And then I could see just the plasma field around it, just going like
Hmm.
surrounding it, and it came over me quite slow, but literally really really low, and I just felt this like expansion in my heart, just go like boom like this, and I was just like. I ran upstairs and I was like, "Holy crap!" to the wife, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up in the morning to a lovely email from the Venus twins in Australia to say that they were told that they had to channel all about me. So they
Whoa.
wanted to jump on a Zoom call, so I Zoomed called them that week, and they basically read out the whole channel session, saying I was a high priest of Arcturus. I've come here to help create peace. It's all about like third eye activation, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um,
Wow.
which is why I went to Afghanistan in 2012, which is the third eye chakra of the planet and stuff like this.
It's
Um,
making sense. Yep.
yeah. So it was all amazing, and I'd already been looking at a lot of this stuff and reading a lot of it, and had a real deep interest in it, like way before this, like that. Um,
That's amazing.
so yeah, it's anybody watching and listening in, it's like anyone can do it. You've
Hmm.
just got to
Hmm.
like just be in that kind of like heart space and just you know just be in a higher vibration. That's all. Like if you're all moody and
That's
So
what it is. It's
it's
about
saying
your
it's never going to happen.
vibration.
Yeah, it's saying it's never going to happen. You just won't experience it. But like you're saying, it's totally benevolent. It's like, it's amazing. And it's been a almost daily occurrence for me, like for quite
Yeah,
some
that's
time.
amazing.
And like you're saying, you get all those downloads, and you know, like all the stuff that you're producing, no doubt, is probably off a lot of downloads, because they're giving
Oh
you
yeah.
what you need to produce for the benefit of all these other amazing people that are coming online as well.
Right.
Likewise myself, my courses are pretty much built off downloads and stuff like that. It's exactly what it is.
Exactly. We're
And
just being of service and doing but it's also I've given permission, you know what I mean?
mm,
It's a permission thing too. And like we talk about the angels, if you want them to intervene into your life, you need to, you know, give them permission to. So it's opening your vessel and saying, you know what, use me as a conduit, work with me, work through me. And these are the biggest downloads that I've gotten, and I'm sure you have too,
mm,
in your work, is to just work through me, work with me, giving them permission to do so, because we forget sometimes that we can do that. We can
mm.
give permission for them to intervene and assist us at
Yeah,
any
yeah,
time.
yeah, absolutely. And it's something I've been doing on a daily basis, not getting people to intervene, but just connecting. And that's what I'm
Hmm.
doing on my courses, is teaching people how to do that, to create that, you know, stillness, but then the connection, and open themselves up to that, because your whole life changes, you know, in the human form, like for the better. You know, everything you do, you know, the people you connect with, the people you
Yeah.
magnetize. You know, we were just
Oh
talking
my
about
gosh.
before, like we're just magnetizing all these amazing people. And probably
Yeah.
very much like yourself, where, you know, I'm not interested in like waking people up. I didn't need to,
Right.
because it's happening organically. Like, it's all about now connecting with other star seeds all over the planet to create those higher
Yep.
frequencies, and then more people get helped, and more people are then of service, you know, to bring
Yeah,
people up.
that's exactly what it is for me too. Yeah, it's about, you know, just being a mirror too for those who are finding their path into their purpose and their mission. And I know
Mm,
that both you and I guide that, of people that are already awake and they're like, what do I do now?
yeah.
Yeah, I really want to move out of my 3D job. How do I do that? How do I create abundance? And it's like all this deep programming that we have to work through to be
Mm.
like, we can create anything we want.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is, because you do a lot of videos about energy updates.
Mhm.
You know, some people just tuning in might go, energy updates, like what is, you know, BP and Shell profits like gone
Yeah.
up again. But in terms of actual like energy that, you know, we're getting zapped with on the planet, is right to give a kind of explanation about what all that means.
Yes. So, a lot of the space weather tells us a lot of what's going on with the sun. And that is what I focus on a lot, is what's happening with the sun and the energy and the planetary alignments. It all affects us. It all affects our light body. And especially lately with the energy updates that I've been giving, it's focused on these solar flares and the eruptions from the sun, these coronal mass ejections. And people are like, how does this affect us? It's affecting the planet, it's affecting us collectively and also individually, because it brings more light, which is information, to the darkness, which is lack of information. So it's bringing more information into our body, into the planet, and it's evolving our consciousness.
Mm,
And this is why there's attempts to try and block out the sunlight, or, you know, not allow it to come into our bodies, because what it's doing is it's activating our dormant DNA, and it's expressing codes within us, and it's bringing us back into Atlantis memories and Lemuria memories within our DNA. And so a lot of this is bringing us back into alignment. And because of all of this activating our DNA and bringing us into higher frequencies with the earth, so we're able to raise our crystallizing light body into the new earth frequencies, is it's bringing up a lot of old patterns. It's bringing up a lot of the emotions that have been holding us into that old paradigm state of consciousness, into the matrix state of consciousness. And we're breaking through all of that now. So it's very intense for a lot of people. It can be very intense physically on the body. It can create a lot of headiness, what people call ascension symptoms. And you feel a lot that's going on energetically. And it affects us on all levels, with what's going on with the energy of the sun and the ascension process right now. And so every day I tune into that and I feel what's going on. And also a good way of gaining information for me and research is working with clients one-on-one every day and seeing what they're experiencing. And there's always a theme every day that people are experiencing. So that's kind of, to me, the collective energy that a lot of people are experiencing, myself included, of how we're breaking through these patterns and how we're coming into this higher state of consciousness. And as that occurs, there's a collective energy that we're creating, a ripple effect. And then there's going to be distractions that come in and try to take us away from that knowledge and information. And so I like to give reminders so people stay in alignment and they
Yeah.
stay focused on what we're creating instead of all of these distractions.
Yeah. Yeah. And like at the minute, it's literally distraction galore. And it's important for people to understand what this is all really is all about. Like, you know, the key thing is if you're spending all your time on social media talking about a celebrity, remember that these people are characters, like in this play that's being played out for you. And it's like
Yes.
your job to discern whether it's BS or not, or whether you need to pay any attention to it, because where you put your attention is where you put your energy.
Right.
And all of
Right.
this is just designed to harvest your energy and slow your process down.
Right.
So yeah, keeping in alignment on like where we're going is like the thing I'm really trying to scream and shout at the minute, especially at my talks
Yes.
and via the podcast. But like in terms of that shift, I do you think it's quite imminent? I mean, for me personally, I think it's like where everything going the way it's going, and the way I've been looking at stuff from a military perspective and how things are being formalized around the world, and
Yeah.
large bodies of different armies are being on the Ukrainian border, on the Taiwanese border, or throughout the whole of the United States. Is it something that you see on the cards imminently, like that extra bump to get humanity to that
Yeah.
next level?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was just working with the elders in Mount Shasta, and they have an astrologist, and we get information and we share it, and they were letting us know, there's about to be 9 planets in retrograde, and this year is going to be absolutely intense in a lot of ways, and so many things are going to happen, and disclosure is happening at a faster rate, and then we have all of these different distractions that are coming out, and when it comes to things that need to happen to shake the collective up, it's time. It's time. And this is why I try to remind people to not doomsday scroll and over prep. And, the prepper thing can get really intense for some people when they're told, like, this is happening, so make sure you have everything. And we need to come back into a state of like trusting that this is all part of the plan. We already knew that this was coming. We already knew that all of this was going to happen. And yes, we are going to hit a huge bump in the next year, 2-3 years. There's going to be this, and that's what I was feeling before I even spoke with the elders, is between 1 and 3 years, that's just going to be so much transformation, and we have to hit a bump. We have to hit a huge bump, and a lot of people have to see the truth and feel what's really happening here. And there has to be a shift. There has to be a change. And change is always coming with something uncomfortable, right? Because if we stay in this comfort zone, we don't experience change and evolution. We have to evolve at this point. And there must be a lot of change in order for us to evolve. And so things are going to happen to create that change for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And me and Diana Cooper were talking about it on our podcast, how if you actually, pay attention to the population on the planet, currently 8 billion. And I was looking when I was doing some research on it, on numbers, is that in 1950, the population was 2 billion. So in just 73 years, the population has grown by 300%. So why is that? Well, so all these souls want to come into the planet, to help the planet ascend, but also to write off any karma from previous times, which is why the population has grown so massively, which is why we're kind of overcrowded.
Yes.
So to speak, but that's only because we've been edged into urban areas. That's all. There's plenty of space, but like,
oh yeah, and imagine all of the pillars of light that are here now, bringing it through our rainbow bridge and like anchoring the light.
yeah,
So much more light because of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's why, we always say that people are where they are right now, doing what they need to be doing. For this time, it's, everything that's happened up till now is literally literally your basic training for what's coming next. It's if you wanted to put it into some kind of military term,
Literally.
and that you don't have to be a soldier. Like, everyone's gone through all these amazing crazy experiences, like good and bad, like for now. Like, these have been your lessons and part of your awakening process. And it doesn't matter like what decisions people made in the past, even over the last 3 years, like, it's actually like you signed up for it, like, not just physically, but like spiritually, like, as a being, you signed up for this, and it's all part of your awakening process on your journey. you know, that's when I talk to people about it like that, they honestly, their eyes just light up. You
Yeah.
know, there's that there's no judgment. It's just suddenly it's pure acceptance and then
Yeah.
courage and willingness to suddenly want to learn. You know, and I'm sure you get a lot of people speaking to you, like, you know, they've had a lot of ups and downs over the last 3 years, and I get a lot more come to my talks now because they just want to learn, you know, about self-healing and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Have you seen a massive increase in that, like, over recent
Oh,
months?
massive. Yeah, and what I've noticed too is there being a need for acceptance that that's enough.
Mm,
Your awakening and the process of your healing is enough for you to be of service, because a
of
lot of
course.
people feel like, I'm not doing enough. What do
Mm,
I need to start a YouTube channel, what like everybody else did. Like that's what I'm working with people on when they're coming, because they're like, I just feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm like, your awakening, your being here, your healing is enough, because you're helping the planet ascend
mm,
through being that vessel of light that is bringing more light through your body and transmuting the density. So that's a beautiful thing in itself, is just being enough in your awakening and not having to feel like you need to do anything more than that. And if it
mm.
unfolds into you doing some kind of spiritual work or being a guide for others, honestly, the message that I've been getting a lot for clients lately is it's just about creating the new earth from within your own life and being the example, being the living example of what the fifth dimension can be like when you become a master of yourself. Self more about being a master of yourself rather than going out and helping everybody else and what can I do for others and what services can I offer. Right now it's really about like what you can master about yourself and that karma that you came to clear and what patterns and behaviors you're co-creating with, because you know, as much as some people want to say they're fifth dimensional beings, we're not there yet,
Mm.
and we are becoming masters of ourselves within our own life. So that is going to carry out into what you are doing with your spiritual work and who you can help and create a ripple effect around you. Is like, that's what I'm guiding people through, is like, okay, just think about yourself right now and what you're creating in your own life rather than what you need to do for others, because it will unfold naturally.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like, if you're putting your attention and all your energy externally constantly, you're never going to become a master of your own life. And
Right.
that's what I explain to people all the time. Like, if you start becoming a master of your own life, you beam so much light out and high frequency onto those family and friends that you've probably spent the last 3 years shaking. Like, why can't you see what I can see?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. How
that,
frustrating was that,
oh
right?
yeah, that doesn't bring them up though. Do you know what I mean? It keeps them down those low
Right.
levels of vibration and, you know, fear and guilt and shame. But if you
Mm-hmm.
just constantly, and I know I'm that person. I'm that example. Like, I've just done that with myself so much that, like, all my family, you know, wider family and that, I've started just paying attention, going, man, every time I see you, you look younger, and like all this, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that, and they see me living my life how I want to live my life, or they're on the grind and don't know why, and, you know, and it's the same for
Right.
millions of people out there. Um, but for people that are just coming into this level of kind of acceptance that they are more than what they've always been led to believe, that they are, you know, whether they like it or not, they're making a deeper connection with their spiritual self,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of happening organically. What would you advise for people in terms of where to start, like just learning and understanding themselves and maybe the wider world?
So I think a lot of what the beginning work is, you know, what everybody calls the shadow work, of seeing what you've been creating that has created the things that are out of alignment in your life now.
Mm,
So, you know, really looking at yourself as an observer and seeing how you can create an alchemy, because we forget sometimes that we are powerful alchemists. So alchemy is about bringing in a higher frequency to help transmute and bring into balance the energies that are out of balance. Like, so for instance, we hold a lot of emotions in our body. We hold past imprints in our body. And if we hold like an old relationship wound in our heart, and that creates a fear and it creates a wall around our heart for opening ourselves to new relationships, we're keeping ourselves in an old cycle, an old pattern, and it's a fear-based pattern. So we're not going to have a new relationship that's more high frequency come in, because we're closed off to it. We're holding all
mm,
this pain and fear still in our heart and resentment. So that's a good example to go inward and think about how we can release and how we can forgive and how we can accept. And that acceptance brings you into a state of harmony. And that creates a feeling of openness now to give and receive more love in your life, and open and activate your heart chakra to have new experiences and new opportunities. So it's about going inward and seeing where you can transmute and alchemize. And so that, I feel like, is the major beginning process of your healing, is just finding those spaces that you can really create more abundance in your life with, of that love frequency.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be rushed. There's no,
No.
this is the key thing that I've been trying to stress to people, even with my family. There's no levels. Like, there's no like, oh, you've meditated for 10 minutes, you're now on level 2. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, you've had contact with ETs, you're now at level 47. It's like, it's not like that.
No.
And you can't, and people can't compare themselves to everybody else. We're all on these completely different journeys, and
Oh yeah.
our universe is, well, there's 8 billion universes happening at every single one time. So your universe is showing you what you need to know, or where you're not to go. So
Exactly.
if things keep going really bad for you, there's a reason, right? So it's
Yeah.
you're being shown, stop being an idiot.
Right. Right.
And that's that, and it's just looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah. There's
And
layers to this.
yeah, so many, and we've all got such deep rooted programming at an individual level as well. This goes back centuries, like way beyond our
Centuries.
forefathers. So we've got to remember that, like, a lot of what our parents taught us are programmed into us, but because of what their parents have taught them, and etc. And then television, computers, all of it.
All of it.
Social
Yeah.
engineering. Like, military. Military is one of the
Oh yeah.
most programmed people going. They
Yeah.
try to make you have about umpteen shots a year, whatever, so like a pincushion, and
Yeah.
then you're just programmed to just obey and do your job at that level. So it's
Yeah.
hard. I can see the programming in people, and you can see how hard
Oh
it is
yeah.
for people to shake that off.
And they're turning up the efforts, like for
Yeah.
our children, they're turning up the efforts to amplify all of the distortion and
Mm.
look this way, be this way, this is what everybody else is doing. And there's so much programming that is going to have to be deprogrammed still. So we're still in process. There's never a point where you get to this certain level and then all of a sudden you're good. I have a lot of people ask me all the time, like, when does this end? When do we get a break? And I'm like, sorry, we're not getting a break. Like, this is only gonna accelerate. We're gonna continue to experience these things. We're just gonna get better at handling it. We're training, like you said, we're in training. The stronger we become at this, the better we become at holding a state that's a higher frequency. We can handle things better. We can transmute things better. Is like really becoming a master. And that's what all of the ascended masters were teaching us about all along, is like, this is how we master ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you don't master anything, but spending your life being completely distracted. You don't get anywhere near mastery. So that's why it's vitally important to just let dissolve things that are actually not very meaningful in your life. That doesn't actually serve you or your highest good. And that's one of the key things I've been kind of sharing with people and implementing myself. And the difference it makes is obviously, as next level. From a galactic point of view, I mean, since a lot of people saw the video and the interviews that we've done recently with Diana Cooper, and she's explaining who I am and where I'm from and all this kind of stuff, I've obviously had a lot of people in my community going like, I'm definitely not from, I can't settle down, which has been the case for me. I'd move around every 2 to 3 years, and never really called anywhere home, which explains a lot. And so I get a lot of people coming to me with those kind of things. But for those who want to really connect to sort of see what their origins are like, or connect with their origins, what would your advice be to them? Because you could probably, well, I wouldn't search on Google, but there's probably other places you can try and find, but it could probably get quite confusing. People that really want to know where they're from.
Yeah, that can get really confusing because there are a lot of different people that do different kinds of galactic readings. And you can go to somebody and they can tell you one thing, and then you might go to somebody else and they tell you another thing. So I think that it's really about really strengthening your discernment and tuning into what you're feeling. And if you are, one of the things that I always tell people when they connect with their origin is, You know, if you go to a place where there's a lot of stars and you're staring at this one star or this one cluster of stars or whatever it is, and there's something special about it, look up what that is, because that could be your connection to your star origin. And then if you read about like the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the different star races that are incarnated here, and you see different characteristics that feel like, oh my gosh, that's totally how I am, that's a great way to start learning about it. And there's a lot of like mixed up information about different star origins, so you really have to tune into your discernment. And some people are hybrids. Some people have a little bit of Arcturian, a little bit of Pleiadian, so it doesn't have to always be one thing, because a lot of us have had many lifetimes in different star systems. But most of the time you'll just know that it's just a knowing, like, this person will mirror it to you, maybe like, oh, this is what Pleiadians do, you're Pleiadian. Oh yeah, that totally resonates. So it's all about the resonating with the energy. So for me, I just 100% know I am Pleiadian, and I'm here, you know, as a Pleiadian being to help raise consciousness and to help people heal. And a lot of Pleiadians are healers, and we're therapists, and we come here to help people. We assist humanity, and we're always humanitarians, and we just want the best for everyone. We want to raise the frequency. So that's a very simple thing to connect with. And a lot of people, there's so many Pleiadians on the planet. There's like a huge population of Pleiadians. And Arcturians, like yourself, are bringing new technology, new information, and they're also shamans, natural shamanic healing they carry within them. And so we all have these different characteristics about us, and you just learning about each kind of star origin and star being, and see if you connect with that race, and just feeling into it. And then you can go into a meditation and connect, and, you know, ask your star family to give you information. And that's where I found a lot of my connection, is just really tuning in and doing meditation and calling in my star family. And they kept showing up in the form of Pleiadians. And so I just knew that was my connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, even for me, it's sort of like through photographs and stuff like that, even like Arcturian shaped ships have like started appearing in photographs like near where I am and stuff like that. And it's just, you can see all the signs, and it's and like for me now, I've very much started to make connections and stuff. I'm just starting my first ever advanced course, like called Super Soldiers. But part of that is deep third eye activation, and hermetic principles, laws of the universe, but also getting people to understand what their star origins can be. And like you just said, you know, actually go into meditation and they own it, you know, rather than we don't always need to seek everybody else's guidance on it. Like, build yourself up to such a high vibration and frequency that you can make the connection yourself.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad you're doing that. I haven't seen anybody do something like that before. I think that's incredible. I hope everybody's able to be a part of that and to like tune into that. That's a beautiful way to find out.
Yeah, and it's just like, because you completely own it, and like you're saying, it will resonate with you. And the same happened for my wife when she was told like that everything resonated with her, and then it was, and what it does, it almost gives you like a permission slip to go and do that big job. Do you know what I mean? Because you suddenly feel like, boom, I'm out of this 3D carcass that they've maybe walked around with for 40 odd years, and I'm actually so much bigger in it, and then I can go do what I want, like literally, because like I'm unplugged, baby. You know, it gives you all of that, doesn't it? You know, and that's why
it's empowering. Yeah,
and it's it just opens your eyes to everything. You instantly see. Well, so I think so many veils drop as well as a result. Because it's such a big deal. And then you're just like a new spring chicken, you know, like with just these bigger, higher purposes. Like you said, you went through that dark night of the soul stuff, and then you go through that, well, what am I supposed to do? And then you go through this phase, and it's like boom, and now you're doing, you know, Mount Shasta retreats, constantly in contact, healing people like in multiple ways, you know, like just like literally living your life how what you signed up for.
Right. And no matter how hard it gets, or, you know, what happens in our own healing, it feels so good to be in your purpose and to know who you are and why you're on the planet. And so if anybody's looking for that and wanting to connect, once you connect with that, it's on. Like, there's no stopping you. You feel so unstoppable. And it's the best feeling to not be lost in this world, and to have that amnesia and be confused about who you are or why you're here. Once you have that click within you, you're like, aha, I have this purpose. This is why I'm here. There's no turning back.
Mm.
That's such alignment. And to be in alignment with your purpose, it's like no matter what happens on the planet or in your life, you're good because you know that you have a purpose here. And also, when you know that you have a purpose here, you know you're ascending with the planet. You know there's not going to be some disaster where you're not going to make it anymore because we're ascending.
Yeah.
So it's like we're totally divinely protected. There's no reason to have any fear when you're
Mm.
aligned with what you're here to do. You know that you're protected and you know that you are divinely guided in that purpose and soul mission here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, when you start finding that alignment, and then you can see your service and the extent of it having an effect on other people, like there's no,
Mm-hmm.
like for me there's no better feeling, you know. Like I love when I go do my talks, seeing everybody networking at this beforehand and then exchanging numbers and hugging and everything at the end. And
That's so cool.
I've been connecting people to Star Family outside when it's been a clear night after my talks as well, which has been awesome. um
That's awesome.
yeah, but I think for me, one of the best things is like seeing a parent who's come with their son or daughter and them experiencing that
Hmm.
together and then
Oh
witnessing that.
yeah.
Like for me, that's one of the best things, like of it all.
I will tell you firsthand, yeah, I have a daughter who came on my retreat last year, and my kids are kind of like, okay, mom, you and your aliens, you know. But when she came out to Mount Shasta and she spent the whole time with my group and she saw the ship, she was like, oh wow. That is like the coolest thing for a parent
Mm.
who knows about these things, to be experiencing that with your child. It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it is great, and just seeing it, you know, that you laid this on for other people, you know, is amazing, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about growing this, you know, online community and doing the talks and
Hmm.
course. For me, it's not a job, and I'm sure like you don't see what you do as a job. It's just literally just like you're just living life how we should be.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it just feels at the end of the day, I always in my day with so much gratitude that I can do this. And I wake up like this morning, I woke up and I connected with the sun and I said, thank you. Like, thank you for allowing me to have, you know, a platform to reach more people. Thank you for allowing me to be a vessel. Thank you for allowing me to do this work and be here at this
Mm,
time. And it's just bringing in that gratitude actually creates more alignment for you too. So that moment you have that click of like, I know what I'm here to do. I know I want to assist people. And you start allowing yourself to experience, you know, new modalities or new ways to guide people or come up with a program or whatever it is that you're creating. And just having fun in the process is what I've noticed has been really, really powerful. Just allowing yourself to just be free in it and not have to like do so much and really overthink things, and just allowing yourself to experience the magic of being here and doing it. It's just been
mm.
such a beautiful experience for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know, I'm very much the same as you. Each day, I'm very much in a lot of gratitude. The gratitude, especially for the people I've met who are still very much very close to me and by my side, and you know, lots of veterans in the military have like you know stood up to a lot of the tyranny that we've witnessed, and for the children, and still to this day are like actively got people coming to the houses and healing people at the houses, and because that was the way it was,
Wow.
the way it was always going to be. It was always going to be this whole exercise was always going to end up with the people healing the people and then getting people to understand that they can heal themselves, and all part of this awakening process.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Hmm.
that, you know, so it's so good to see that them all doing things of service as well, from like, you know,
It's so cool.
meeting them like 3 years ago. You know, I've got like one of my bros is ex Royal Marine. Always love to give him a shout out. Big Steve Forsyth. We met at some traffic lights, like, and then like he's too got the Orinoco healing pillars at his house, and he's helping people with chlorine dioxide solution. Loads of people have got like injuries, you know, from the shots and stuff like that, like healing so many people. Like he's
Wow.
helped my mum. Um, so you know, there's people like
That's
him, and there's
amazing.
people like him and all over the world doing all this amazing things, you know, for the majority
So
of the part,
cool.
and for the majority of it, most people financially really got themselves in a lot of issues because they went, you know, completely anti establishment.
Yep.
And it's great to see so many of them now, like really starting to pick up, and their friends and family starting to, you know, realize what they were talking about, and they're coming on board as well. And yeah, it's
That's
quite,
beautiful.
yeah, it's quite magical. Like, and you know, I always like to give great gratitude to being such good friends and align with, you know, with people like that who just stood up for what's right, you know, and humanity
Yes.
and our children more than anything. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so Gayle, thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show today. Would you mind sharing with the viewers and the listeners where people can find you on social media and websites and things like that to find out about more of your work?
Sure, yeah. So my Instagram is the Boujee Healer. It's Boujee because you can be bougie and you can be spiritual at the same time. And thebougeehealer.com is my website, and I'm actually going to be launching my contact method that has been given to me and been
Ooh,
very successful. Yeah, that we do out in Mount Shasta, and we're going to Tawny Sands and myself, and her Instagram is Tawny Sands. She's my partner. We're launching this. We're recording it in the studio at the end of the month, and then we're going to launch it on a website for everyone for free to access and do it all over the world. And if they want to come experience it with us at MountShastaHealingRetreats.com, they can come to our one of our retreats or do contact in Mount Shasta with us at any time. So there's that incredible thing we're going to release soon, probably in October.
amazing.
So look out for that. That will be on my website or my Instagram as well. And then MountShastaHealingRetreats.com is our retreat stuff. And we do contact. People hire us in Mount Shasta to just do contact sometimes with their group or come and do healing work. Tawny Sands and I both do spinal energetics together for groups of people or individuals. And I'm also between Los Angeles and there. So it's been incredible work to do. And like for everyone who's feeling called to the mountain also, it's really important to listen if you learn about Mount Shasta. I highly suggest reading the book Telos to learn more about Telos, the city underneath the mountain, and connecting with the Lemurians. I'm teaching about the new Lemuria. I'm teaching about, the Lemurian consciousness that's coming back on the planet. And I'm a big representative for that energy and a big representative for galactic contact, just like you are. And bringing in the knowledge and the information about the truth, because there is going to be a lot of distraction about contact and aliens and all of these things. And so our goal is to remind everybody that we are galactic beings that are activated in our physical body, and we're here. We are here. We're the ones that are bringing back the new earth through our physical body. So it's not about saving or having somebody come down from the sky and saving us and waiting for these ships. It's like we're doing it. We're doing our work now. So I like to hold space for people who are ready to really activate what they're doing here in their physical body and really integrating into the human experience as your galactic self. So I do sessions with people, and those are all on my website. I have a big program that I'm going to be doing very soon, launching this month, where I'm working with 8 weeks with people, holding space as a group container, and we're going into all of this stuff, DNA activation and healing. So all of that's on my website, bougiehealer.com, and Mount Shasta Healing Retreats on Instagram also, and that's where you can find any other information of what I'm doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I love these conversations, and the fact that, I can get these kind of conversations broadcasted is, I think, what's really needed at the moment.
Oh my
So
gosh, yeah.
yes, I really do appreciate it. Guys and girls,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Guys and girls, if you enjoyed today's show, please share it with at least one person. Many of you know I'm heavily shadow banned on most channels. The majority of the internet hates me. The only people that don't hate me are the people that need to hear this information. So get it out there to as many people as possible, please. Likewise, if you want to check out any of my courses that I've got coming up, I've got my 5-day rapid fire course happening at the start of October. And I'm going to be doing more talks all around the country, as well as my new advanced super soldier 2-day course, which is in the next few days. So please check it out on mrajroberts.com. But from me and Gayle, look after yourself, and I'll see you very soon once again on the AJ Roberts Show.